Hi, in these sessions, we are going to use a Kubernetes as AKS, and we are trying to deploy web-based applications into Kubernetes clusters. And for this, we are going to create a sample applications and try to containerize that application and try to deploy it. Okay, so we'll see in the next section. Thank you. Hi. Welcome to this session. So in this sessions, we are going to see about the Kubernetes clusters. The objective of this session is we try to host a .NET based applications as a web based applications. We try to host into AKS cluster. So what are the things we are going to see is first we are going to see about the architecture of AKS clusters. And since the AKS it's a subset of Kubernetes, so the architectures will be the same. And here it's going to be a managed service. So we will see about the overview of Kubernetes architecture diagram. And after that, we try to create a Docker image of a .NET based applications. We will try to customize our image and try to build a .NET based applications. And in step 3, we try to do whatever the image is there, we try to run it in our local machines. If it works fine, we have to push it into a common repository such that anybody can clone that thing and use it. But in real time, we won't keep it as in a public mode. I mean, but no, won't keep it as a public repository. So it will be a private repository. So we will share some encryption key or passwords. For this demo point of view, we are using as a public repository. And after that, we try to host the web-based of .NET applications in Kubernetes, AKS Kubernetes cluster. And after that, we try to access the website by using a URL. Okay, so by hosting into AKS clusters, as a part of prerequisites, you should have uh, Azure access. So you can sign up with your credit card and you can use as a free service for. So initially AKS, as they're providing as a free plan, you can try to use it. So without any charges. Thank you guys. We'll see you in the next lecture. Hi, in this lecture, we are going to see about the prerequisites for this course. So here you need a Docker desktop for the Windows and you need to install the Visual Studio 2022 community version. Okay. And the basic knowledge of .NET app. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the Docker desktop for the Windows machine. So I will show you that thing, how to check and how to do it. So if you go to the Docker desktop website, so I went to dockerdesktop.com and this link I will share it. And if you see here, this is the prerequisites. You should have this WSL, Windows Subsystem for Linux, to be enabled. Okay. And the OS will support Windows 11, Windows 11, 64, and Windows 10 also. You should home or pro versions. And for to do to do this, you should have 64-bit processor and 4 GB RAM. And since it works a concept of virtualizations, so you have to enable uh, the BIOS settings. For that, this link is there. And also for enabling a Windows subsystem, uh, we have a link for this where we can enable the Windows subsystem. Let me show you that part. If you come here, so I have how to turn on the WSL features in Windows subsystem. So what I'll do is I will click this link. So it goes here. And if I come here, so So you have to open a PowerShell and you have to install this one. Uh, since I already installed, I'm not running this command, but if you run this command, it will install it. And once installation is completed, so you have to go to the control panel. So if you go to the control panel and click on Windows turn on features, once you got installed successfully, you can see this Windows subsystem for Linux will be enabled. Okay. And after that, since I already installed Docker desktop. So once you install successfully, will come this one. And for installations, so once your Docker desktop, it will ask you to do some restart. Uh, so let me show you one thing after installing Docker desktop. So let me go to my desktop screen. So if you come here, your Docker desktop will come here actually. So this is my Docker desktop. So once you install, it will ask you to restart your machine. So try to restart it. And after that, once your Docker desktop ups, so you can see here your Docker desktop is running actually. Still, it's not up. So this color will be changed to a green color. Then only your Docker desktop is working fine. Otherwise, you can check via command prompt. So just wait. Still, it's not up. Otherwise, you can go to your command window. So once your Docker desktop, so to check the Docker desktop is up or not, just put Docker version. The version will tell you what software you have installed it, what version you have installed. And in order to check your Docker desktop is up, you can put docker.ps. So it is up actually. Okay. That's why see here, this color become green color means your Docker desktop is up. Okay. So once you install this one, uh, you can run your Docker desktop in your Windows. For Linux, you can if suppose a Windows is not working, what you can do is you can install a Docker desktop with Linux. Okay. So to installing your Docker desktop in Linux, let me show you that stuff. So if you go here, installation for Mac and installation of Linux. Sometimes your Docker desktop for your Windows version won't support due to some issue. So so what you can do is you try to install Docker desktop for your Linux. So you should have a Linux in your machine or you can use any cloud machines. So for installations for Ubuntu or Debian, you can to check this. In case of Ubuntu, come here. So they given the steps. So follow the exact steps. And if you follow this thing, then it will start working. Okay. So these are the steps for installations of your Docker desktop in your machines. Thank you guys. We'll see you in the next lecture. Hi, here we are going to see about the AKS architecture diagram. So how it going to communicate between the master and slave nodes, I mean worker nodes. So if you see here, you have something called a developer and admin. So they install some CTL. This is a command line interface where I can able to talk to this master node. So this is actually your master node, and I'm going to talk to this. And this based upon this instruction, so it will go to this master node, and after that, this will give the instructions to the your worker nodes, your slave nodes. Okay. Now what I'm going to, so I'm going to explain about the each one, what is for each services. If you see the ECD is like it will process your data. So whenever you're giving instructions, whenever you're creating any cluster, it's going to save the cluster informations and credential information in your ECD. So basically to persist your cluster informations, any kind of certificates and communications of this thing will be stored in your ECD. So it will store in your key pair value actually. Next is a control manager, which will control your master and slave. So for example, whenever you create any kind of pods or any kind of replications, so this will try to control your worker and master nodes. So that I will define it into some deployment sets. So that will replicate into your this node. So I will, for example, I want to create in the worker nodes this many pods. So if you see here I created almost 9 pods. So these configurations this will be controlled by control manager, which will control all these steps actually your applications. That is thing. Next is a scheduler. A scheduler is like say any pod is failed, or whenever you create a new kind of a deployment instruction. So they're giving some instructions to this, and that so whenever a new instruction comes, the scheduler will keep on checking, and it finds a new kind of informations. It will try to update it. So that is a scheduler, and it will keep on checking the healthy node of your cluster. So if any pod is failed or something, this will won't send any traffic to the unhealthy pods. It will send to the healthy pods. So that thing will be taken care. That is the scheduler. Next is the API server. API is server which whenever you are sending any kind of data via kubectl. Kubectl is a command line interface. So this is a REST API, and this gives the instructions to everything actually. So every communications happen via this API servers, your kubectl, and this will internally communicate to this. Okay. So if you see here, we try to host AKS cluster. AKS is a managed service. You don't need to manage your this services, and you have to just deploy it, and you have to tell what you're going to what kind of cluster configuration and how many nodes you want. So everything you will manage it. Okay. So in next lecture we will see how the life cycle go, how the instructions goes, how the life cycle happens. So whenever I'm giving the instructions, how the flow is happening. Okay. We'll see in the next lecture. Thank you guys. In earlier lecture, we have seen the AKS architecture diagram, how the flow is happening. You have a master nodes and worker nodes, how it's communicate. We talked about ECD and a scheduler and API service. So here, how the flow is happening, we are going to see. So if you see here, you have something called API server. This API servers, so whenever you give the instructions from the kubectl, it comes to here. And after that it try to, so you are giving instructions, and that will come here, and it will try to persist your data in ECD. And once it's persist, if and the control manager will control all your this kind of nodes actually. So any instructions comes, it comes via API server, and it will control your thing. So for example, as I told, any kind of pod or any kind of cluster creations, everything will be controlled. And the scheduler will be keep on checking. So whenever new instructions you are giving, say you want to create new pods, or you're creating new services, this will keep on checking, and it will try to find it out, and it will try to deploy. And any kind of, and next one is you are deploying any say your pod is getting failed. So job is keep on checking actually. there is a scheduler. It will be keep on checking this one. Any kind of fault failure, it will redirect. It won't redirect to the unhealthy pods. It will redirect to healthy pods. So this is a thing. So if you see here, this in this worker node, and you have a container where here only the your application will run. So in our case, we have a .NET based applications which we are going to run it, and these applications run on this containers. So you can create a number of containers. So here containers we talked as a pods. Okay, that is a thing. Okay. Next is we'll see the life cycle of that. So I will show you the life cycle. So if you go, so whenever you give some instructions, you give some instructions. So here, say I'm giving in kubectl, a developer giving a issue, hey, please create some pods. I'm giving instructions to the creation of pods. So API server will pick this one because all your command line interface will talk to first API server, and it is I'm going to create it. So first it will persist the data into ECD. So ECD will persist your data, your cluster informations. So where is my cluster? Where is my pod? Everything will be stored here actually. And the scheduler will keep on watching uh, any instruction as newly has come or not. So once instruction has come, it will watch it and it will try to send a response to a API. And what will happen is it will try to this will try to understand it, and it will try to create a pods, okay, through kubectl. And once it created, then it will, so you have a Docker image. So because whenever you run an application, it will be as an image, so that will run on your Docker image. Okay, so this I have instruction given to this, and it will try to create a pod into the worker nodes as a Docker image. And once it runs, it will update the status to all this thing. It will updates to the your kubectl, and after that it will update to the scheduler, and it will persist your data. It will persist in your data because I have created, and it will persist your how many pods are created, how many, where is a cluster, everything, and it will send the response to the your kubectl command. So in this way, everything is updated, and I just want to show the flow. That is the thing. That's it. We'll see in the next section. Thank you. Hi. In this project, what we are going to see is we are going to uh, see this code. This code we are going to deploy into the Kubernetes cluster. So this is basically a .NET code, and it's I written a web page, and that web page will be, so let me I show the walk through the code. So you have something called view. You go to home, you have index page. So basically I'm going to display a welcome page as Udemy free course done by Jagan. So this will run in your Kubernetes cluster. So before doing deploying to Kubernetes cluster, what I'll do is I'll try to containerize this application as a Docker image and try to deploy this application in Kubernetes. So this is my code, and I share this GitHub link. You can also clone it and start deploying. So let me walk through this architecture. So I have a Docker file. So if you see the Docker file, basically I'm telling that clone this. This is .NET Core. So this is a framework, uh, and hosting in an app directory, and it runs on port 80. And this is the SDK which is required for this for .NET Core. And basically this is my a project file. And what I'm doing is I'm restoring all the package. So this code will, whenever all the dependency of your DLL or packages, it will it will download it, and it will download the package into your local and try to do it. and I'm copying into my working directory to SRC folder. And after that, what I'm doing, I'm building this project, and I'm putting into the whatever the release folder into this folder app.build. So this is going to run it, create as a Docker image, and it will deploy into the build. And after that, what I'm going to do is, once builded, I'm going to publish it into this folder. So this publishing, creating, build, everything is going to happen in your container side. This will. So this is your image. So in image, what you're telling is as an instruction, what you're supposed to do, what is supposed to be done in the container side. Finally, I have a working directory. It will be in app folder. So in your app folder, you are putting into your publish folder, or whatever you have built it is there in the publish folder, and you are putting into the current directory. Okay. So what I think I already have created. So what I'll do is I try to run these applications in. Uh, already I built it these applications. So let me run it. So if I run with the Docker, it will start running as a, it will automatically create a image, everything. But I am not doing that one because I want to show as manually. So just I'm running, my application is runs in local or not. So once it runs, then what we'll do is we try to create a Docker image. Through image, we'll try to publish that image to the Docker Hub. Okay. So if you come here, so here, okay, here is. So I have run this. So if I come to home, so if you see here, this is the page I'm going to. So what I'm going to do is this application I'm creating as a Docker image and try to host. And after that, I push this code to Docker Hub as an image. And from that image, I try to deploy that code into a Kubernetes cluster. Okay. Thank you guys. We'll see you in the next lecture. Hi. In previous session, I just shown the .NET code, and I shown my what all the configurations and what is the web page of this. But here I'm just showing the how I'm going to build it, and I'm going to deploy into my Kubernetes cluster. Basically, this is my local machine, and if you see here, uh, if you see here, this is my local machine. In this local machine, I'll try to compile it. I'll compile it, and after that, I will test it out by running this application in my local. After that, I will build this image in my local. So the image will be built. After that, this image, I need to push it to my Docker Hub. So this is your common repository where everybody can access it. So after test it out, my image should be put it in my Docker Hub. And after that, this image, what I'll do is in my application. So this will be your Kubernetes cluster, means your AKS cluster. So here, what I'll do is I'll pull this image. From here, I'll pull this image and I'll run it as a container. And this container will be runs on your AKS cluster. Okay, that is a thing. So let us jump into the next sections with the practical thing. Thank you guys. Bye. So this is my .NET code. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run this application, and you don't need to be necessary hands-on on this .NET code. Just for demo purpose, I'm using, but just to understand. basically you can clone this project, and I will attach this GitHub link. You can clone it and you can try it out. Basically, I have written, if you go to the view, you have in this file, you have this page. You can, in your case, if you want to explore it, you can change this file and try to push it and you can explore it. So what I'm going to do is, this is my page. I done some changes. Okay. Now what I'll do is, so I say that I will add some more thing. So I'm adding AWS training check-in.com. Okay, I've just added and I'm just saving. Now what I'm going to do is I have done some changes. I added this content. Now what I'll do is I try to build this application because I have changed the file. So your build output will come here. It's built successfully. Now we'll try to run this application. Let me minimize it. I'm going to run it in my local because I want to test it out whether it should work in local. So I'm going to test it out. My whatever I done the changes, it has to reflect in my local. Yeah, it is. It works fine. So what I'll do is I'll come here. One second. So I am adding this link also, and I will change it accordingly. Uh, so once your application is running, oops, no, usually it will open in different window. So, I'm resharing. So adding this link. So once you do any changes, it has to reflect here. So that I'm running. Yeah, it's loading. Yeah, website also loading. We'll just see whether whatever I done the changes, it's reflecting. And we'll push the latest changes into my Docker Hub. Yeah, so if I click here, yeah, it goes. That's fine. So what I'll do is, whatever you done the changes is working fine in my local. What we'll do is, we try. So this is my Docker file. A Docker file is a set of instructions. You're telling the instruction how to build as an image. Huh? Your project will be builded and deploy, and how to deploy your application into your run as a containers. Huh? So what I'll do is, uh, now I'll go to my console. So let me open. You can do it in command line thing or in your Docker desktop. So I'm going to use console. Okay, now what I'll do is I will put docker dot, so docker.ps will tell that your docker is your how many containers are running. Right now, nothing is running in a container. If you put images, lot of images is there. This is the image which I created last time. Now, what I'll do is I will take this copy. It's written not. So if you go here, so now what I'm going to do is I am going to remove the old image, and now what I'll do is my source code is located on this path. So let me take the source code path because I need to know the location of my source code. Copy this full path. So I'm going up to here. So go to your command prompt, and in command prompt, just put cd, your path name. Yeah. So put dir. You can see your Docker file. Okay. Now I'm going as put Docker build. So you are going to build it and you are going to tag it and you are going to give a name for this. Okay, I'm sorry. So you have to give a name. So what I'll do is I'll give a name as this name. Okay. So I'm going to give as 1 second might be, I don't want to. Let me go as Docker images. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to give a name. So I'm going to build this as an image. So build Docker build -t, and you can give a name for this. So I'm going to give .NET Web Apps demo. And so where it is my Docker file located? It's located in my current directory. So I'm giving dot. So defaultly it will understand your Docker file will be in your current directory. Means if you, it will understand, it will take this file. Okay. So since I am in the current directory, I'm giving a dot. Okay. Now let me see. So it is trying to build my Docker file. So I given a name as .NET Web Apps Demo. So it is building and it's restoring my packages. So your everything it is shipping actually. So whatever you have dependency file. So whenever you build your code and take it, so it is what is happening is in behind the scene, it is building your file, building your application, and all the dependency of that applications has been restored and it is packaging and putting in this path. So right now it is built it. So if you go to Docker images, you can see just now it is created. This is the one. Okay. So defaultly it will go with latest. Okay. Now what I have to do is I need to push this code into a common repository. Okay. That we will see in the next lecture. Thank you. So now I have built the image. So this is my image. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to push it to my Docker Hub. So if you go here, if I go to, sorry, if I go to Docker login. So basically I'm going to log into my Docker Hub, and usually it will ask username and password. Okay, since I'm already authenticated. So you should have created your Docker Hub account. So go to hub.docker.com and you can create that one. Okay. Uh, then you can able to log in. So I'll share the link how to log into your Docker Hub. Okay. Uh, Next, what I'm going to do is I just going to, so in order to push to your Docker Hub account, let me open that URL. I have logged in to my Docker Hub. So this is last time I pushed it. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll try to create another repository. Okay. And try to push this code. So what I'll do is I'll create a name with same name. So what I've created is, so I'm going to create the image name as same. You can give any name, but I just for naming convention, I'm going to do this format. So I'm going to give a repository like this, and you can say it's a .NET web apps with, okay, and I will create. So you have two kind of thing, private and one private, they're giving a free of cost. So usually in as per the best practice, we'll keep as a private, but in this use case, I'm making as public. Yeah, one public has been created. So in order to push your image to this Docker Hub, you have to use this code. So what I'll do is, so first I need to, so how it will understand is, this is your account name and this is your repository name. So first you need to tag it with, I mean, you need to rename your image with in this format. Okay. So in order to re-image in this format, we have to change via command line prompt. So what I'll do is, now I'll come here. So, so there is something command called, you need to tag it. So Docker image tag. Okay. And you have, so you already have a image name with .NET web apps demo. Okay. So .NET. So this is the existing one with, we will give in this format. So defaultly it will take latest. So no need to give that one. I'll take this. I'll rename this because why I'm doing this one is In future, I'm going to push it with that format. So you have a tagging.net web apps demo. So I'm going to tag it. I'm going to tag this image in this format. Okay. So let me tag it. Yeah. So if you issue a Docker image, you can see two images right now. So if you go here, you can see two images. So one is this one, which has just now we tagged it. And this is the old one. This is the old one. Now we are going to push this image. We are going to push this image to Docker Hub. Okay. This thing we are going to push it to Docker Hub. Okay. Now what we'll do is now if you come here down, what we'll do is we have already push command. So Docker push, then you have to put that name. So since I already copy pasted, so what happened is this image will be pushed. So if you come here, your website, Docker Hub website, second. So in website, you can see this is the one. Right now, nothing has been pushed. So once you push, you can see the tagging or image you can see here. Right now, a repository is empty. Now we will try to push it. Pushing. Yeah. So here, see, default it took latest. If you want to specify any other version, you can do it because we have multiple versions. That's why. So it is pushing this code to your Docker Hub. So right now it is pushing. Yeah, it's pushed. So if you come to your Docker Hub page, and you can see here your image is there. Okay. So this image will pull it into our Kubernetes cluster. That's it. Okay. So thank you guys. We see in the next lecture. Hi, welcome to this session. So in this session, what we'll see is we try to run a Docker container in our local and we will test it out and make sure that your whatever we builded image is working in our local. Okay. So what I'll do, I just open my console. In console, you can see my image which I have created. So I have this image. Okay. So what I'll do is I try to run this image. Okay. So you have Docker run. There is a lot of commands are there. So I'm going to run this image in my container. So Docker run -b. So I'm going to give the port. So I can give a port is 809 with 80. Okay. So this is your container port and this is your external port. And I'm just giving a name. So I'm just giving the name to the container. I can say .NET Web Apps container, and you can give the name to this. So I'm going to run this image. Okay, so the image is .NET Web Apps. So .NET Web Apps demo. So the container has run. So actually I have run as in the connected mode. Okay. So right now it is running on port number 80 and it is launched this container. If you go to Docker desktop, you can see my container will run here. Can you see here? So it is run on 8090. So if you click on this, so whatever I'm running, it runs on 8090, which I have given. And this is the image we launched actually. We have pushed this code. So you can see uh, the page is loading. And if I click this link, it will go to the website. So right now it is running on my local. Now what we'll do is we try to host this application in Kubernetes cluster. In next lecture, we'll see how to host it as a Kubernetes clusters and try to deploy it. Okay. As a part of prerequisite, you should have Kubernetes or cluster. Okay. So we have to do a sign up with Azure and do it. Okay. So thank you guys. We'll see you in the next lecture. Hi. So in these sessions, we are going to see how to host your Docker image hosting into your Kubernetes cluster. As a part of prerequisites, you should have Azure AKS cluster. So I already have my Azure sign up, so I host it. If you don't have it, still you can use some other Kubernetes services and try to host it. So I'm using a managed service because it's easy to deploy it. I don't need to do any configurations and do this one. But if you see the any kind of your deployment, it will be all Kubernetes service, whether your EKS or AKS, it will be a same across because it has derived from that subset. Okay, the Kubernetes AKS derived from the subset from the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so no need to worry. You can host in any service. As a part of prerequisites, I'm taking a Kubernetes service. So what I'm going to do is I try to open my Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to create a resource group and I'm going to create, uh, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a resource group and I'll create a Kubernetes cluster. And after that, I will deploy this, uh, I deploy my Docker image in Kubernetes cluster. So let us go to resource group. Now I'm going to create a resource group. So if you're launching any in Azure service, it should be a part of your resource group. So I say that this is AKS group. I'm going to host in East US. So you can ignore the tagging part. So now I'm going to create it. So my resource group is created. Now what I'll do is I'll go here, go to my Kubernetes service. I'll create a Kubernetes. Now it will ask which resource group since I already created resource group. Now I use for Dev. So there are a lot of pre-built things are there. I'll use Dev and test because if you go for higher cluster, the cost will more. So I'm going for uh, basic one. So I can say this is my AKS demo. And I don't want all zones. So one zone is fine. So I'm using free tier and I'm using 2.6 as a default. So in Kubernetes cluster, you have different versions are there. We'll try to use default versions. Okay. And next is go to node pools. I will add it. So this node pool uh, will help out to like scale up your applications. Okay, next you will go to the networking part. And this is your DNS, where your cluster will be mapped with IP address mapped with this DNS. So I am attaching load balancer. It's required because you have a master as per the diagram. You have a masters and slave. So let me show you the thing. So if you see here, I have a master, I have a node. This master nodes will talk via uh, the AWS managed nodes. And for that, in order to talk to this one, we will map with the load balancer. Load balancer will divert the traffic to all these nodes. So if any one node fail, it will go to the second node. So for example, this node got failed and in your load balancer. So load balancer will be attached here and anything got failed here. So automatically divert the traffic here. So like this. So that is a beauty. That's why we are attaching to the load balancer stuffs. Okay. Now I go to that page. Yeah. So now I came here. So I'm just selecting the default review. For that, I'll go to previous 1 second. So this will ask you to validate before creating. So we created node, we selected the networking part and in integrations. So if you stored your image in your container, so in this case, I stored in a Docker container. So if you stored in your container, then you can select that option and you can directly clone from this image, this registry. Okay. Okay. So these are the logging. So if you want to uh, any issue happen in your container level logs, you want to push it, you can see this one. And Prometheus is a metrics part. So, so suppose your pod is failed or it's scaling up, scale down, something you want to enable it, you can do it actually. So these are the plugins are available ready-madely actually. So I don't want to notify anything because I've not enabled anything. So let me create it. So once its validations is success, so it will automatically ask for to create. Yeah. So now I have start click the creating the Kubernetes cluster. Okay. So usually it will take some time to create a Kubernetes cluster. Okay. So if you see here, it will start, it is submitted. So usually it will take some 10 to 15 minutes and it's in progress. In next lecture, we will try to launch this Kubernetes cluster and try to deploy it. Okay. Thank you guys. We'll see you next lecture. Hi. So in this lecture, we are going to see about how to deploy your Docker image into Kubernetes cluster. As a part of prerequisites, you should install Azure CLI command. I mean, Azure CLI. So if you go here, go to the website, how to download, I'll tell you. So if you go here, uh, so in this case, this is your plugin. You have to go to install Azure CLI for Windows. So whichever, if you want for Linux, you can select that Linux and install it. And since I'm doing for Windows, I'm selecting Windows and I'm clicking on uh, so 64-bit and it will download the package and you have to run it. Since I have already installed it, since I already installed it, uh, that's why I'm not doing. So you have to go to your download folder and run the setup file. So if you go here, this your CLI will be installed, then right click and run it. So it's still taking time. So if you go here, download, so it is ready, right click and open. So it will ask for next, next, next. So you have to click next. Since I already installed it, so you have to click and install it. That's it. Okay. So, so once you install successfully, uh, let me go to my command window. So if you see here, uh, in order to check whether it's installed successfully or not, you have to put AZ and hyphen version. Okay. So you have my Azure CLI has 2.32 and it runs on a Python SDK. So this is my path where uh, my my CLI is there. Okay. So now what we'll do is we try to deploy this application into my Kubernetes. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to open my Visual Studio Code. So if I see here, this is my Visual Studio Code, and I open the whichever the projects which have uh, created a Docker image. So you can see that files and that thing. So now what I'm going to do is I just to open my terminal. So if you go here, there is an option called terminal. Click on this terminal. Now we need to log into uh, our Azure thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm trying to log in this. So what I'll do is, since I already installed my I have installed, let me expand it. So if you see here, if I type easy hyphen version, yeah, it is available. Okay, now what I'll do is, right now I am this in this project. Okay, my source code is everything. I am here, and now what I'll do is I try to log in. So I'll put AZ login. So this will redirect to my Azure portal, and it will ask you your username password. If I click it, since I have already my password is already authenticated, so it is authenticated. So it got the response here. This is your email address and you are authenticated, you are the user. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a cluster. Sorry, I'm going to deploy my I'm going to deploy my Docker image into a Kubernetes cluster. Before that, I need to get the credentials. For that, you have something called AZ AKS. You can put help actually. This will give list of commands, what exactly you want to do. If you don't know which command to execute, if you don't know the syntax, you can get it out. Okay, so this is create. Okay. Here list is there, update is there. It's not giving actually. Okay, no problem. So I have in my, okay, so basically it is a credentials. Okay. So what I'm going to do is Azure AKS get credentials, and after that you need to put the name of the cluster, So we created AKS demo, and our resource group we created as AKS group. Let me check it out. We go to the portal, and so if you go to the portal, let me refresh it. So right now my Kubernetes is up. I'll go here. If you click here, you can see this is my cluster name, Kubernetes, AKS cluster name, and this is my resource group. So let me open here. We put it AKS group, that's correct, and AKS demo. So AKS group and AKS demo, that's fine. Now your credentials will be updated into your local system. Okay, so it is giving that my syntax is wrong. So we can correct it accordingly. So AKS get credential TILS. Okay. And I given the name. Okay. And yeah. So I missed out this colon. That's fine. Yes, okay. Now we go to end and just run it. So at any point of stage, your syntax is wrong. So it gives an example. So it's easy for you to fix it actually. So just cross check it actually, what is you're doing, whether might, if it's telling that it's not something is, see, it's highlighting your something you missed out this field. Okay, so accordingly you can correct it. So what this is doing is I'm getting the credentials and it's going to write it into my kube config. In kube config, you have your cluster information and your credential information. So it's stored as a hidden file. So I'm giving yes. So it overwrite into my kube config. All information will be there here. Okay. My cluster and all other informations will be there. Okay. Your clusters and other thing. So now what we'll do is we try to deploy these services. Before that, we have two files. Okay. One is deployment. Let me minimize it. So if you see here, this is uh, the instructions. Okay. Basically, what I'm going to create is there are two kind of services deployment. Two kind of services we are doing. One is a deployment, another is a service. So in deployment, we are going to deploy this Docker image into a container. So I'm just giving a name to this. You can give any name, and I'm just giving this name. This is another name, and this name should be a same in your service also. Okay. So I'm giving this .NET app writing. So what will happen? This is a selector. It will try to match this selector across your template. So this matching template and the selector and the template has to be matched. And this is the my image, Docker image, which I pushed into my Docker Hub. So you have to put that image name. So, and I'm going to run it on port 80. So we'll try to get what Docker image we use. So if you go to Docker Hub, so we have to copy that what we have pushed last time. So this is the one. So we'll click it. So we copy paste this and come to here and we'll paste this. So default it will take latest, but we are putting as a tagging as latest. Okay. So I'm going to pull this image and my container name is .NET apps. Okay. And next is this will, what it will do is it will create a container as a .NET apps, and that container will pull the image from this. So basically whatever I push the code as a Docker image, this image will pull from my Docker hub. Since I created a public, okay, that's why that's why I'm not putting any credential and other stuffs. And so it will pull it and it will run on a container name called .NET apps, and that container will run on port 80. Okay. And next is, so this will create just a container, but we need to attach this container uh, to access this endpoints, correct? So for that, what I'm doing, I'm creating another service called .NET App Service. And if you see here, this name and that selector and this deployment and this service should be matching. Then only it will understand. It will match it. Okay. So whatever a deployment selector you're giving, same name you have to give, then only it will match. Otherwise, it will think as a different. And this one I am attaching to the load balancer. Basically, here we are creating a container and it runs on the private nodes actually. And after that, in order to access this one, I'm attaching to a load balancer. So if you see the load balancer, I'm putting into port number 80 and the target port is 80. So what I'm doing is I want to access this Kubernetes cluster via load balancer and to check whether my application is running fine or not. So when you deploy it, it will create two services. One is a deployment, another service. One is for your Kubernetes and another is for your load balance. Okay, that is the thing. So let me deploy it and we'll see. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is, so now I'm going to deploy it. So you should have something called, let me expand it. So in order to deploy this file, so what I will do is, so I'm going to, so here, so in order to deploy, so defaultly it will install with kubectl. So I'm putting kubectl and so in your Kubernetes, anything you want to talk to your Kubernetes cluster, kubectl is a command line interface where it will talk to uh, your cluster. So through this only we are going to deploy any kind of pods or any services. We are going to use kubectl. Okay. So I'm going to deploy it. Kubectl apply f -f and my name is deployment. So I have a deployment file. It's in my root actually. Okay, it's in my root. So if you do a tab out, it will come. I'm going to deploy it. So deployed. Not sure whether I saved my files or not. Yeah, it's updated. Now I'm going to, similarly, I'm going to deploy for my service. Yeah. So I deployed, a deployment has been created. Another is deployment service has been created. So if you put kubectl get pods, and you can see the two cluster is running. Okay. Because I created, if you go to my deployment, I have replica of 2. That's why it's 2. Okay. And if you put kubectl and get SVC, then it will do. You can see two things actually. One is your service, which we created as a load balancer, and another is your Kubernetes. So this we created as a load balancer. If you see here, we create a load balancer. That is a one. And this is the cluster IP. So this IP will access within your private node. And my load balancer attached with my public IP, okay? And if you see here, this is my IP, okay? This IP will work within your cluster, within your network. And I attach outside world in order to show the demo, okay? So if you see here, this is the endpoints I hosted. And if I enter here, you can see the same thing has been running here. So this one is runs on my Kubernetes cluster. You see here, this runs on my Kubernetes cluster. And I can able to access the same thing. So right now it runs on in my Kubernetes actually. That is the thing. Okay. So what we can do is now, if you see, if you go to here, you can put kubectl get pods. Your pods are healthy. Okay. You can see your pods are healthy. And you can check the logs. So for example, some issues are happened. I want to check the logs of this. You can check it. So go here, put kubectl logs and this pod name. Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. It's not copying properly. So if I've entered like this kubectl logs, so it will give the logs of my how it's running. So it's running here. So it runs on here and you can check. So your kubectl is showing the logs of these applications. Okay, that is a thing. So in this way, we deployed our application into Kubernetes clusters using our Docker image. That's it. Uh, Thank you guys for your support. Thank you. Bye. So after your pods are running actually successfully, so this is runs on Kubernetes. So in this lecture, what we'll see is what all the services has been created inside that. We'll go to the Azure portal. We'll see what has happened inside. So right now I am in Azure portal. I am in Kubernetes. So if you see here, I have a node pool which we selected and it attached from some networking. Okay. And if you see here, these are the service. So it's created some cluster. So this is, we have created actually, we given 1.26 and we are not monitor any metrics and other thing, but it will, if you see here, it will persist some data. If you go to persist volume. Okay. So if you see here, these are the storage card and we have created so we have used this default storage class actually. So whenever you create any kind of uh, in Kubernetes, so these are the managed storage class will be created as a default. Okay. And if you go to resource group, so this is attached to the a load balancer. I show that one. So if you go to the load balancer, so this is a load balancer. So whenever the traffic comes, so if you go to the front end IP, you have two things. So whenever your IP has come, so this endpoint, okay, and it will redirect your IP to your AKS cluster. So it will divert the traffic. So that is the thing. Okay. So in this way, we can deploy our AKS cluster into our Docker image or any kind of application, whether .NET or Java, into our Kubernetes cluster. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your support. We'll see you in the next section. Thank you. So once everything is done, we need to destroy it because this is cost is involved. So I'm going to destroy it. So once your everything is done, if you're hosting, so in Azure, you can go for free tier and you can use it. So if you're using first time, okay. So now I'm going to destroy it because otherwise the charge will be more. I have completed my part. So take this group and paste it here. I'm deleting. So it takes some time to delete it. And if you come to here, so what I'm doing, I'm deleting the entire group. So in this entire group, it will delete your cluster also. Okay. You don't need to manually and delete it. So whatever you there in this resource group, because I have created the resources I created my AKS cluster on this resource group. So if I delete this resource group, everything will be deleted inside whatever the cluster or any service created here. So just you have to check, but it will take at least 10 to 15 minutes. So that's it. We have completed. We successfully deployed AKS cluster. I mean, we created AKS cluster and deployed a .NET application, a dynamic website into Kubernetes cluster. Thank you, guys. And we'll see you in the next lecture.